All right. Good evening, everybody, on this very special episode of Two Richards, One Beer, which we're titling One Jim, Two Richards, because the guest tonight is someone that I know or that I've known for, Jesus, 10 years, 10 plus years. But I'll introduce him when he's ready. But before we start that, the news of the day is that Charlie Baker announced that they are starting to enact parts of the four-part plan or four-phase plan to reopen Massachusetts to the for business as usual. Phase one started today. Places of worship, manufacturing, construction can reopen next week. Hairstylists, some retail can do curbside delivery or curbside pickup. That can all start. The big thing is what will happen in stage two, which could start as early as June 8th, the cautious stage when restaurants can partially reopen. And if that goes well enough, stage three, which is the vigilant stage, bars can reopen, which includes anything place that serves liquor and does not have a kitchen, obviously under some modified rules. So, Mr. Healy, you own a restaurant/bar. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that I'm not going to open until we're in phase four, but that's just me. I think there's just way too much liability, and I don't have any outdoor seating, so I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. A lot of restaurants that I've spoken to are thinking the exact same thing. Thinking still kind of keeping it limited capacity. They don't want to have to invest in barriers, bring back their staff if their staff aren't going to make any money. It's just kind of a lot of let's see what happens. It's like you don't even know if people are going to come back in. Like if I got to put sneeze guards up everywhere, and my server's got to stand 6 feet away and yell at for them to yell back at them with their order. It just seems to be too much.
There was a restaurant association meeting Friday the 15th. And then you were in another meeting today. What are some of the, Baker didn't mention any of these rules or safeguards that you have to do. So what did you learn from this meeting?
From Baker's meeting?
No, from the meeting that, the rules to enact, social distancing and making sure everything's clean. Were there any concrete details hammered out or anything like that?
I mean, there is a set of guidelines, more health code and everything else, and they're going to be something we have to adhere to. I didn't really learn anything. There were kind of things that we knew we were going to have to do. A lot of other states opened up before us and were really the guinea pigs. And it's very strict in terms of CDC stuff. A lot of it is just going to be impossible to enforce. There's no way in hell you can realistically just look at somebody and be like, I think they're honest when they're telling me they quarantined with that person. They can sit down. It's that's just impossible. There's no way you're going to be able to enforce that stuff. I don't think Baker went into detail about it because I don't think Baker made those decisions. I went through his panel, and Steve DiFilippo is the only person on it in terms of a restaurateur, and he obviously is the CEO of the Davios Group. There's no real small business restaurateurs there. It's just one person, and I believe he put together DiFilippo put together his own kind of group in terms of writing out what he did and everything else, and I'm not sure who the members of that are. But it's just, it's blanket stuff. I'd rather hope for the best and plan for the worst, which means I'm still doing just takeout of everything up until this is over. I mean, then that when I say over, more phase three, because we don't know what phase four is going to look like or when phase four goes into effect. This new normal, which has to be the most nauseating oxymoron that's ever fucking been written down in any state decree or guideline. It's just the most irritating thing. To be honest with you, Jim, I'm looking forward to traveling outside of this state to a few other states, safely, of course, and seeing how they're doing it. I'm looking forward to fucking Portland and eating some food next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My reaction was, these 3-week timelines to roll out the phases just seems very hopeful. So I just don't want to see hope there's no spike again. I mean, I think we've all accepted that there's going to be a spike later in the year when the weather cools down again. But we'll see what happens with the number of cases that are diagnosed over the next few weeks. So that could put a wrench in things, and that could even delay the stage 2. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised they even included restaurants. Like I figured that would be realistically looking out until vaccine being what that is and wherever that situation lies currently. But like I thought that we'd be looking for like winter before they started talking about restaurants. I mean, I don't know. And again, like Healy said, you've got a lot of other states that are relaxing restrictions, and I expect, and I hope I'm wrong, but I expect that you'll see a spike in cases as a result as people start attempting to go about their normal kind of daily lives. It's I don't know. My spot is opening up for takeout delivery only. Hopefully the first week of June. We're doing some renovations in the kitchen and making some new moves and kind of working on some new ideas, which is fun. And again, we're fortunately in a position where the owner owns the building, so he's in a slightly better financial position than a lot of other folks. That being said, he's still obviously feeling the pinch, and we need to do something. But like, yeah, in conversation, it's like, no, we won't be open as a restaurant until winter, fall. Shit, I don't know. Like,
and you have a patio,
huh?
And you have a patio.
You do have a patio, yeah. I mean, that's a good thing in our favor for sure, and when it's for safe and responsible. But then there's like, there's you kind of mentioned it as well. Like, who's going to come out? There's a lot of families in our neighborhood where the restaurant is. Who's going to come out? Who's going to want to spend money? Who's going to feel comfortable? And then, like, on top of that, like, who's going to come back to work? And like, can we provide a safe place for these folks, as in addition to the guests? Like, I mean, do we need like a fucking safety protocol, like to have people sign off on like, are you currently feeling ill? Are you coughing? Are you nauseous? Do you have headaches? Like, I don't know. Do I put in place like a fucking sign off sheet for my servers, not servers I guess in this case, but the kitchen folks and other people that are coming into work? Like, I mean, I want to be diligent and like cover all the bases, but like, if it's not safe, it's not safe. And right now I don't really feel like it is. So I don't know. It's weird. I am surprised they even included restaurants, because I feel like they've been vague on purpose. That's to not get anyone. But I mean, if folks are opening up for the first time in 2 months, they need to order food. They need to fucking probably hire people, because like there's a lot of people on unemployment right now that probably want to stay on unemployment. Let's be honest, and like not put themselves in at risk by going into a public space in a confined it's all just very unknown. It's fucking freaky deaky.
Yeah, both you guys say you don't know how many people are going to be coming out. You've seen the pictures of when the Wisconsin bars, when the stay-at-home order was declared unconstitutional, and then 30 minutes later, the fucking bars were packed.
But
in the hillbilly. And I just remember thinking of all the cases that happened, that occurred in South Boston around St. Patrick's Day, because those mouth breathers went out. There's mouth breathers everywhere. They are going to come out to your restaurants.
Yeah, but you got a lot more of those people in Wisconsin.
Right.
Oh, you got a lot more.
I don't want to make it.
No. There's mouth breathers everywhere.
There's mouth breathers everywhere.
We have plenty of stupid fucking people in Massachusetts. And like, regardless of what governor says, regardless of what the president fucking, thank God, hopefully, regardless of what he says, because nobody should be listening to his dumb ass. Stupid people are going to do stupid shit. And is it stupid to go to a bar right now? Probably. Hopefully not. I don't know. I hope I'm overreacting, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm all right wearing a mask and fucking going to the store and wearing gloves and shit. Like, I'm all right. Is it put me out? No. Puts me out a box of gloves every 2 months. I can square that. I'm good.
I think there are certain states, though, that definitely embrace this whole, like, little finger in the air. I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to get my hair cut over others, though. Like, I know a lot of my regulars that I keep in touch with via social media or everything else. If I did just open up fully, on June 8th, and I was like, don't worry about it, right? Fuck this 6 feet thing. Come on in. Let's pack the place and have a good time. A lot of the regulars that I have that I the way I've, watched them on social media or when I've, talked to them on the phone or text would all kind of look at me like I'm a dumbass. And, so I think we live in a more educated and a more, we lean, at least the state leans politically towards a direction where folks are more likely, I think, to stay home as opposed to just being like, you've been, don't tread on me. I'm going to my pub. So,
it's beyond that. I think it's also a matter of geography. We're fucking 5 hours drive from New York. We're one of the worst hit states in the country. We're in Boston. I'm in Boston. Jim's
you say
in Boston.
5 hours?
3.5, whatever. With traffic, I include.
Why does it take
traffic.
you 5 hours to get? It takes everyone else 3.5 hours.
He's leaving during rush
I
hour.
include the traffic that is Connecticut in my getting to New York City. Regard, that's not my fucking point. We're not talking about MapQuest. We're not map questing my fucking routes right now. All I'm saying is we're experiencing it differently because we are in a very high hit fucking spot of the country. Like Boston is one of the largest, per population infected areas in the country. We're in fucking New England seems to get hit a lot harder, or has seemed to have gotten hit a lot harder.
Connecticut got hit hard per capita too.
Huh?
Connecticut got hit really hard.
Yeah,
based
just
on per capita too.
Basically, Philadelphia to Maine, basically, to Portland has been hit relatively hard. So folks in the Midwest literally might not even feel it, like the same way we feel it. So I don't know. I want to make blanket statements about education and things like that, but I'm going to avoid it and just say it's geography.
I'm a fan of blanket statements in general.
I know. I know.
But Jim and I were in Wyoming last summer. Odds are outside of Jackson Hole, Jim, social distancing there is just the way they live life. So
social distancing in Wyoming is just Tuesday.
Huh?
Social distancing in Wyoming is just Tuesday.
Literally, that's just how they live. There's no one fucking there.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's some states that probably looked at this and they were like, this town's got a population of 28. Really? But, we're on a coast and it's intellectual hub with the third hardest hit state. So I think there's just going to be people who react a little bit differently.
Yeah. They also didn't have any biogen conferences in Wyoming, where one asshole got hit.
Jim, our buddy is in the waiting room.
Are either of you guys drinking, by the way?
Oh yeah, I just grabbed my beer.
Okay, that's fine.
It's
one of the beers I still gave you.
It's a Castle Island koozie.
Oh look! Wow, you actually came out and bought your own beer.
No. Wait for it. It's just the koozie.
Oh,
it's Laser Cat. It's Medusa Laser Cat. It's still the beer that Jim dropped off on my front porch like fucking a month ago.
Jesus fucking Christ!
I don't need to buy beer.
Jim, what are you drinking?
I stopped by Jared Walter's spot today and bought some stuff. I'm drinking a Munchoff Schwartz beer right now. So
very nice. I am not drinking because I plowed through a bottle of Fort with my brother yesterday, and I'm still feeling it.
We'll drink more than enough for you. You can bring our guest on, though. I can introduce him.
I am bringing him in right now. Here we go.
Let me see that.
I've admitted him.
Up, and it's under his
Marina Bacci.
His wife's name. His wife's
Marina
name.
Bacci.
Has he figured out the camera? He has.
He is.
All right.
He is. He made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is currently the Great Lakes sales manager for Chicago. He's worked for Two Brothers, Windy City Distributing, Half Acre. He's also started the hockey blog that became part of Fox Media's SB Nation, Second City Hockey. My good friend and new father, Matthew Killion. Hi, Matthew.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to
How you doing?
Nonsense.
Good. Yourselves?
Good.
We're doing well here. Your hair does not look too long for being. Did you get a haircut 2 months ago?
I got literally, I think, probably one of the luckiest things I did was I got a haircut the Thursday before everything shut down. So everything like shut down on like a Monday, and I had gone to a scheduled haircut that Thursday just because I had desperately needed one at that point. So it's just getting to the point now where it's like, okay, it's probably time for another one, but so far so good.
I'd like you to see it grow out like Sideshow Bob or something like that.
Ooh, you should have seen me in college then.
I did see a
Yeah.
picture of you in college.
Jim, can
Yeah.
we look at your can we take a look at your luscious locks? Will you let your hair down for us, Jim?
Please.
I've been preparing for this for 17 years.
Oof.
Sex. See, we're selling sex on the show now.
Matthew, what are you drinking to start?
I guess I'll start with a new addition to cans, actually. Metropolitan, one of my favorite breweries here in Chicago, an all German-inspired lager brewery. Just, I think like 2 weeks ago, started putting stuff in cans for the first time ever. So we have their, I don't even know, Stromhaus Helles Lager.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I remember giving Tracy a house lager bottle like 5 years ago at one of your events. So
Nice.
I hope, actually I gave it to you. I hope you gave it to her.
I'm sure I did. Sounds
yeah.
like something I do.
An all lager brewery. Who would have thought of something? Not Massachusetts. But I should say Metropolitan started 3 years before Jack Savvy did. So
There you go.
Shut my goddamn mouth. So how's your son doing?
He's doing well. He's just closing in about 6 weeks old now. We've had a day full of secretions, you could say. A lot of peeing and pooping and puking on people. Mostly my wife, which has been I've been on the lucky end so
For the
far.
last part, that was my day as well. But I haven't.
Yeah, nice.
I call that too. But
I've had the good luck of like literally like bouncing around with him, and then I hand him to my wife, and then 3 seconds later he's puked on her. I'm like, the timing has been perfect on my end.
Good for you. Nice. So I should also ask, because your parents live in Dennis on the Cape, correct?
Yarmouth Port.
Yarmouth Port. How are they doing, or have you talked with them recently?
Oh, I talk to them constantly. Are you kidding? This is their first grandkid, and they are chomping at the bit to get out here as soon as the stay-at-home orders are lifted. I think their plan is actually to drive out. So as soon as our governor says it's okay, I think they're jumping in their car and heading straight here. I don't think you could keep them back.
Pritzker's not letting anybody from out of state visit? Is that the...
No, I mean, well, it's just everything's been like stay at home, distance yourself. We haven't even like let my wife's parents haven't met face to face outside of like seeing each other through the glass door of our front door, basically. So it hasn't been no actual physical contact yet, unfortunately.
So did Metropolitan drop that beer off themselves, or did you go to a store to actually buy it?
They have a contactless curbside pickup that you can do from the brewery.
And so I grew up in the Chicagoland area. I left there to move to Massachusetts in 2012. Metropolitan was one of the few, not few, but there were a small amount of breweries in the Chicago area when I left in 2012. And now I believe there are more breweries in the Chicagoland area than anywhere else in the country.
Jim, actually, Jim, this is a great segue for something I've been meaning to ask you for years, Jim.
Okay.
Why? Yeah.
Like why am I out here?
Chicago, the area. I mean, for some reason, you still pull for most of the Chicago sports teams. The family's there. And then at some point, Watertown was just that appealing?
My wife is from this area, and when she graduated law school, she wanted to move back here. And as Matthew knows, I was in a grad program in philosophy, and he was smart to get out of philosophy early. It's useful. It's not a way to really make a career. So I just moved out here because she wanted to move back. If I wanted to save money, I would have suggested living in Chicago or the Midwest somewhere, but I'm out here now. So that's why you're stuck with me.
Well, it's not that I'm upset about it, Jim. I mean, Lord knows we love you. Just, I go to Chicago and then I come back to Boston and I'm like, you could be cooler. And, you're the only person I know who's like, I'm going to go to Boston. I don't know why, but I'm going. So now it's good to know why. Yeah. Better. Give Raquel my best.
I will. I mean, I lived in Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis for most of my life. So it's or the Chicagoland
Milwaukee
area.
like? I imagine I would like Milwaukee in the same way I like Pittsburgh. What's Milwaukee like?
Not as nice as Pittsburgh. It's developed a little bit. There's no real public transportation, but there's lots of cool spots.
I like Milwaukee. I got up there for my previous job every so often, and it's got, obviously it's Wisconsin, so it's got a lot of good drinking scene, got a lot of great bars. So
Yeah.
it's a nice little town. I always have fun up there.
Yeah.
Tino, something tells me you'd be all about it.
I surprisingly like weird. I mean, not that Pittsburgh's Midwestern, but like fucking Cincinnati, loved it. Loved Cincinnati. And I guess it's kind of like it's like that post-industrial kind of Midwestern thing. I just like the layout, the vibe of those cities. I was in Madison. That was kind of cool. Ate some cheese curds. Drank some
Madison's like hippieville, man. I wouldn't tie that in with the other Midwestern cities. Like you just try to go to Cleveland or Detroit or
I've never been to Cleveland. I'd like to go to Cleveland for sure.
No, man, I've been to Cleveland a few times.
You're not into it? Not feeling it?
Well, I'm not into Cleveland for stupid reasons. Last time I was in Cleveland, I was driving cross country, and I had been driving for like 18 hours, from the West Coast back east, and ended up in Cleveland, and I was just exhausted. And went to this hotel. I was like, I had any room, and like we only have rooms we only have smoking rooms available. I was like, the fuck? What year is this? Got a room, and I was like, whatever. I'd been a bartender, spent enough time with people who were smokers, and it was like sleeping in a fucking ashtray, and I couldn't sleep. And it was the last time I've been to Cleveland as a result, because I'm one of those, if I walked into a grocery store there and someone was a dick to me, I'd be like, Cleveland sucks. This is who I am. So for some reason, that Holiday Inn ruined Cleveland for me.
Yeah, Holiday Inn can ruin anywhere for
anything.
Right?
That can ruin anywhere.
Dude, as much as Matt probably wants to hear us talk about Cleveland, I know you've been furloughed, correct, from Great Lakes at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to justify paying me a salary when it's all the bars and restaurants are closed. So till they open back up, I'm just on extended paternity leave. So in some ways, it kind of worked as a little bit of a blessing in that, I had initially planned to take maybe 10 days off, which is very minuscule. And then now I've been, working on 6 weeks. So it's not all bad.
European paternity plan.
Yeah, exactly.
A real one.
How was how's the brewery doing otherwise? How you guys hanging in?
I mean, it seems to be a struggle, like all people. I don't think anyone's really doing too great. I think, I heard recently that at least in Cleveland, they can open up the outdoor seating section for the tap room at the bar. So that's obviously something nice. You can at least have some people bring in some income. But I know, I mean, sales were down massively last I really talked with an actual furlough. I didn't realize how very strict furloughs are in that, like, I don't get any work emails, calls, phone, like no message, no communication whatsoever. Because otherwise they can say, well, technically, if they were sending me info and sales reports or anything, like they're like, well, technically I could sue them saying I was working and sue for wages. So they literally had me mail my computer back to them. I just plugged in my phone this afternoon for the first time in probably 2 months. So it's weird. It's wild.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I'm sure you have something else taking all of your time right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could have happened at worse times.
Yeah, you luck out with vomit. You luck out with your jobs or your work life. So, I just, since I haven't been back home or just the Chicagoland area in a while, I just had a question that you would probably know. So you live in Jefferson Park, right? The northwest side.
Yep.
There's a couple breweries up there. One of them is Lake Effect, that started in the past few years. is there regionalism in like Chicago where breweries based in one area don't sell well? Like, does Lake Effect sell okay in Pilsen, or does like Healy?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that I wouldn't say it's necessarily favoritism for neighborhoods or anything like that. But I mean, some of these breweries, I don't know if off the top of my head, if a brewery like Lake Effect, which is probably the closest one to me here in this neighborhood, I don't think they have a distribution deal with any of the even, minor distributors in the city. So I think they are probably still self-distro.
Mhm.
So I don't like, and they're very small. So I just don't think they make it down there to even try to sell some of their stuff on the south side. I mean, up until to be honest, up until maybe 5 years ago, even some of the larger north side breweries didn't have much of a presence on the south side of the city. And part of that is, maybe just lack of interest among the people on the south side. There's not your Hop Leafs, Map Rooms, big beer bars. There's a couple, and they're usually smaller hidden gems that are on the south side in different neighborhoods. So I just don't see it necessarily as favoritism neighborhood to neighborhood, but maybe just more geographic convenience more than anything.
Okay.
Matt, we've gotten to talk to a decent amount of beer reps in other cities. Happy to have you on for Chicago. Give us a
Sure.
review on.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's happy you made time for us, man. But we spoke to someone from New York, someone from Philly, and Chicago. I mean, I'm interested to see what the city kind of looks like when this is all over. You got any ideas in terms of what we're going to be looking at?
No, I mean, it's so hard to say. There's already been at least one brewery that's shut down just completely. There's been a couple bars and restaurants that have said that they're completely shuttering, and others that are obviously super close on the edge. So in some ways, it's really going to, I think, determined by when this all can finally wrap up. I think most places right now are okay. I think a lot of places have tried to innovate where they can and change up their business models. I'm seeing a lot of bars do just growler sales to go. I think growler sales were actually just legalized maybe within the year here. That didn't used to be that a bar could fill a growler and send it all on their way with people. So I think that has recently changed, and bars that would have never thought to have done it are starting to, just to kind of help move some inventory, because we're getting to the point now where just beer would go out of code if they hang on to it for too much longer. So it's hard to say what it really is going to look like when it's all out. I think people are definitely chomping at the bit to get to their bars and get to their favorite restaurants, and I think we'll see a pretty big wave of people coming back out when it's all available. It's just a matter of question of who's around, who can make it till the opening day.
Do they have to buy food when they buy that growler, or can they just buy a growler and go?
I don't think so. I think you can just buy a growler and go.
You have to buy food.
I haven't done it personally, so I have no idea.
Yeah, you have to buy food in Massachusetts, so we're even farther behind the times. Yeah,
we generally are. We're generally a few years behind.
We hold on to our bullshit Puritan values.
Sure,
I did see a place that was selling growlers, 64-ounce growlers of Dogfish Head Raison Dextra for $23. So
that's such a bad idea.
There was also one for
beer. That's too much beer for 3 people.
There's also Epic Big Bad Baptist Hazelnut Vanilla Stout for $17. So yeah, we can, even though Massachusetts is so fucking expensive, we do have some deals right now. So yeah.
And I do have a question for you. You've known Jim longer than all of us Massachusetts folks. Has he always been like he is?
As far as I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, word. Thank you for that. Thank you for that quick response.
He's only known me 2 or 3 years longer than you. So yeah, there you go.
We love you, Jim. We're happy with your episode.
I'm not this. God damn it! I'm not the subject of this fucking show.
Jim, you are the star of this episode. This is one Jim and 2 Richards.
Oh my God! How did that? So, how did that puzzle you were doing, I saw on Instagram, did you finish that a couple of days ago?
Oh man, another thing I did right before everything shut down is I went to a local like game store that had, puzzles and board games and all the whatnot. And I was like, I'll grab a puzzle and that'll be something, that'll keep us entertained. We'll get through that.
Yep.
And I thought, what the hell? I'll buy two. So I bought 2,000-piece puzzles. And we finished them both within like 3 weeks. And then we're just like, it's one of those moments of like, I haven't really done a puzzle in, I don't know, since I was in grade school or so. So we finished these 2,000-piece puzzles on our kitchen table, and we're just like, now what? When do we, like, I think we just let them sit on our kitchen table for probably a good month or so before we finally decided to take them all down and use the space of the kitchen table again. So yeah, those are unfortunately long gone, enough to the point where I'm thinking of breaking them back out and doing them again.
Oh God. We recently, we got a 1,000-piece puzzle too that is of colorful donuts, and every time I start to do it for like 30 minutes, all I do is just get hungry, and then I have to stop, and because I'm just going to raid my fridge and gain 5 pounds right away.
Jim, for your birthday, I'm just going to get you 4,000 or 5,000 plus puzzles of food. Now that I know that.
Yeah, none of us you were such a puzzle enthusiast. Like you get nothing but puzzles now for all birthdays and all holidays. Puzzles.
Great. No, that's fine. I'm sure when this pandemic restarts again in the winter, I'm sure I can use them. So there you go.
Such a positive outlook.
Dark days.
Jim, this is dark as can be.
This is what happens when you put me in charge.
I love it.
It gets weird. It gets dark really quickly.
Darkness and puzzles. That's if we were to like tag hash or search fucking function things on this episode, darkness and puzzles.
Darkness. All right, for that'll have to be the summary when we write it up. Darkness and puzzles with Jim.
Make sure you hashtag time is a flat circle too, because I've said that multiple times and you
Dear God.
still have not. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think.
Matt, actually, no, I have some questions because, Matt, I'm not very familiar with the brewery that you represent. Forgive me.
Sure.
Could you tell us a bit about it? Tell us about the beer that you guys are out there slinging. What's your personal favorite? What's the brewery known for? All that jazz.
Yeah, Great Lakes has been around quite a while. So I think it was 88. So kind of in that class of 88 kind of a scene that, kind of, I guess maybe the first or second wave of craft brewing, whatever you'd want to really say. But I actually went to college in Ohio. So I had a pretty good connection from them from that stage when I was just starting to really get into good beers. Granted it was college, so you mostly drank whatever cheap shit you could find. But anytime you had a couple extra bucks, a little extra scratch, you'd buy maybe a 6-pack of their Dortmunder Gold lager, which is kind of their first beer they ever made, and one of their most ubiquitous in and around Cleveland. Dortmunder Gold is just the beer that's in every single bar, either on draft or in bottles. It's just absolutely everywhere. So that was kind of the first exposure I have with them. I think they make one of the best American porters in their Edmund Fitzgerald, which is just a perfect example of what a porter should be, which is one of my styles that I definitely tend to gravitate towards. But yeah, being a brewery that's been around for so long, they're definitely a little bit more brewing the classic styles. Here in Chicago, their porter is really big, and then also their amber lager, which is basically, they call it an amber lager. It's basically a Vienna lager. Those are their two best sellers here in and around Cleveland. It's their Dortmunder. But yes, they've been around for a while, make great stuff. But I think they just after I was hired, they actually hired a new CEO who's kind of breathing some new life into the styles that they're going for. And I don't think they're going to, try to make super hype styles and try to push that, because I think that's always just feels a little disingenuous when a brewery with the heritage that someone like Great Lakes has tries to jump into that. But you see some success with some minor things. Sierra Nevada did a great job with their Hazy Little thing, which is a killer beer for them now. So I think they're trying to find what they can do to slide into that role of trying to stay true to their roots, but innovate and make some new stuff. 'Cause, obviously they've been around for long enough that they've got the know-how to do some interesting styles. So that's kind of what they're going for, I think, these days. But it's always been like a classic favorite brewery of mine. So it was one of the things when I got laid off at the other brewery, it was like very lucky that there happened to be a couple other breweries that were hiring, and that was one of them. And it was definitely quickly became my hopeful number one choice, and thankfully got that job.
Nice.
Yeah, Dortmunder Gold is the shit. The few times I've had it, that fucking beer is fantastic. That would be a fridge beer if it was in Massachusetts. But yeah, I was gonna ask if they're debating getting into like the hip hazy game or not. It's hard for.
They just released the kind of like a small one-off seasonal that was a hazy IPA that I actually finally found in my local grocery store, and it was pretty good. It's not bad. It's not a style I particularly enjoy, but it's one that I'll have every once in a while. So that one's pretty good. I think one of the things they've done actually is that their big thing for this year is they're going to start canning their beer for the first time. So Dortmunder just came out in cans. They'll have a couple other new seasonals, I think, that'll initially plan to go out in cans as well. So that was actually kind of one of the fun things we had launched. We were planning on launching Dortmunder cans right before all the shit went down here. So in order to help get out inventory at our warehouse, my manager was like, "Hey, you're picking up samples this week, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Just throw on like 5 or 6 cases of Dortmunder just so we can get the bottles out quicker to get the cans in." So thankfully, right before this shit went down, I have 4 cases of Dortmunder just sitting in my basement. So I've been working my way through that pretty quickly.
Nice. 12-ounce cans, I'm assuming.
12 ounce, yeah, 12 ounce 6-packs.
Does anyone really care about 16-ounce cans in your market?
16-ounce cans are kind of king, actually.
Really?
16-ounce 4-packs are most of the smaller breweries that are bringing those out. Those are definitely the format that kind of goes. Half Acre, the brewery that I worked in previously, was the first craft brewery in Chicago to launch cans, and they went with the 4-pack 16-ounce cans. And I think that just kind of like set the tone for the city. So when you go into the liquor store, I think it's mostly 16-ounce cans that you'll see rather than the 12-ouncers. But now, even with Half Acre, they're getting into like when they start seeing 12-ounce cans, it's usually for 12-packs rather than 4-packs or 6-packs.
We see the 12-ounce cans out here in 12-packs and 16-ounce cans too. But don't they do six-pack 12-ounce cans for like Wisconsin for some strange reason?
Who? Great Lakes?
Half Acre? Half Acre.
I don't think so. I think they launched a new beer that's a 16 ounce or a 6-pack 12-ounce, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
To me.
Sorry, I don't know. You don't even work there. So
Yeah.
Hey, fuck those guys. But yeah, I remember the first time I got Daisy Cutter like 10 years ago, and it was in a 16-ounce 4-pack can. I'd never seen it before, and it was. Who knew I was looking into the future at that time?
Yeah.
That we all were. But everybody wants to be Heady Topper. Or more.
Hold on. You don't have anything? I'm interested in the hockey blog. Jim.
Okay. What?
It was this hell of a lead-in about a hockey blog too. That has been, it was it purchased from you? That you created this badass hockey blog?
No. So I didn't work on his hockey blog. He started it all on his own. Matthew, you can go ahead. You're the one that actually did the hard work. I was just.
It was more just like, so I was working an office job at the time, and this was back when the Blackhawks still sucked. Now they're back to sucking again, but this is before they got good. And was just basically spending all my time at my office job reading other hockey blogs and other websites, and realizing there wasn't one for the Hawks, even though they were starting to get good, and just decided, why the fuck not, and start one. And Jim was writing for another blog at the time, and I reached out to him just to kind of say, hey, get some advice, see what the scene was really like. And that's how he and I kind of introduced ourselves to each other and kind of just kept in touch from there. But I started just a real cheap Blogspot blog, and then SBN, the big sports blog network, was starting to really fill out their ranks and asked us to join that. We joined that, and I met a couple other friends that really kind of took the lead. much more knowledgeable hockey fans than I am. I was just more of an enthusiast rather than a total knowledgeable about the sport to the details, the minutia of it. And they actually still run it. I kind of stepped aside once I kind of got more into this side of the role where I was not in front of a computer all day and couldn't keep up with all the things that were happening and do quick responses. So it's still around. They're faxes from Uncle Dale is the what it became now. So we joined this SBN network, decided after a couple of years to start our own project where we're kind of running our own show right as the time when the NHL decided to lock out for half the year. So it was really great timing. So now they've still got the other side up and running. It's still going, but no hockey again. So we'll see what's going on.
And one of those other founders now writes for Deadspin too right now. So, but yeah, I didn't have anything to do with Matthew's original blog, but I gave him some useless bullshit information that didn't really help at all. But yeah, that's how we knew each other. And then we did trivia for a year in Chicago. And yeah, honestly, he's like one of the few people I still know in Chicago.
The darkness is back. Do you want to talk about puzzles while you're at it?
What the fuck are you talking about? The darkness is back. I'm just telling you the story. This year-old Orval is very good too, by the way.
That beer holds up very well. Actually,
5-year code.
I'm slowly getting over my hangover.
What are you drinking?
I'm having a Rising Tide Waypoint coffee porter from made in collaboration with Tandem Coffee, which is that hip coffee spot that Tino introduced us to that was selling kale pine nut scones for some horrible fucking reason. It's scone, but the coffee was great, and this beer is very nice.
That coffee shop is so hip. They don't just have a coffee CSA. They have a subscription by mail vinyl club that you can join. I don't own the coffee shop. Don't yell at me. I'm just telling you what they do.
We only sell 45s.
Oh, wow. It's just so on
B-sides only. It's only B-sides on both sides.
Yeah, all B-sides.
That's great. How we doing on time, sir?
We're good. Honestly, I think we're finishing up. We're 6:42 right now, so Matthew looks like he's on to his second beer.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Actually, a new beer from Great Lakes. It's a lemon Hefeweizen.
Oh, is it Hefeweizen weather in Chicago right now?
Not really. We got like a torrential downpour yesterday, and it's now like 60 degrees and not rainy, but it's not great out. It's one of those things where it's late May and it's still pretty gross and cold out. So I just wishful drinking.
Yeah. Sounds like Massachusetts most of the time too. Although it is sunny and beautiful right now.
Lucky you guys.
Yeah.
Jim, hold on, Jim. Turn to the window with that light one more time and just stay frozen like that for just a bit. Don't smile though. Just look straight. It's glorious. Just stay like that.
Fuck you. I don't have any. Do you guys have any other questions for Matthew?
Yes, actually, because Matthew, I want to jump ahead of Tino. Matthew, the first episode we did of this, I was behind my bookshelf as well, and Tarantino or Quarantino asked me to grab a book that I hadn't read on it, and just from the cover, tell me what I or at least give a description of what I thought it was about. Is there anything back there you haven't read in that bookshelf?
Yeah, because it's a mixture of both books from myself and my wife. So there's definitely a bunch of books that I have not read on there.
Would you entertain us and just pick one
Yeah.
you haven't read and just tell us what you think it's about, even though that's not what it's about?
Sure. Let's find a good one. I'll check my wife's section because that's definitely the ones I certainly haven't read. Oh, there's actually a copy of Mein Kampf down here, which is I think that's actually mine, but that's from my my grandfather. So that's weird.
What's your
Which I have not read
the
it.
heritage like in your family?
Yeah. Scottish? Yeah. Yeah. I remember, so yeah, we'll get Mein Kampf. I haven't read it, but there it is.
You've got nothing but time right now.
Yeah. I think it's about his. I'm vaguely familiar, so I think it's mostly about his career as an artist.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe you're right.
it's an art method book, I believe.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! He's not that successful as an artist.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me that Big Star is going to be okay. Tacos?
Big Star is definitely going to be okay. They're actually a nice, fun controversy of on Cinco de Mayo. One of the popular Twitter accounts, Chicago Bars, tweeted out the line of people waiting to pick up their tacos outside of the Wrigleyville location of Big Star, because they have several locations now.
Oh, do they?
And everyone just started shitting on the Big Star for being white people tacos. But yeah, they're still good. So I think it'll be fine.
They are white people tacos, but they're fucking good tacos.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if you're not gonna, authenticity is overrated sometimes. If it just tastes good, just go for it.
Yeah, if you show up there and you're like, "What do you mean that there's not a corned beef, like cabbage, pickled taco in Mexico?" It's like, come on.
Yeah.
The big thing is to get Claudio, the tamale guy, back up and running somehow. He needs a brick and mortar location, even if it's just for a month or two. Unfortunately. So Richards, do you know about the tamale guy in Chicago?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's a very Chicago thing, which I do not understand. But there are several of them. Claudio being probably the most famous, but there's just tamale guy, where literally he will go around to bars that do not serve food on their own and just walk in with a igloo cooler full of tamales, and we'll sell them to you for $5 for chicken, pork, or cheese. And you just get to pick them. And then it's just, he got his own homemade sauces, and it'll save your life several times. Because he'll show up just at the point where you're like, oh man, maybe I should leave and, go home or get something to eat or something else. And then it's like clockwork. It's like Beetlejuice. You just say that and he walks right in, just tamales, and then you can just buy tamales and go. So he obviously has been struggling since the bars are all closed. And actually there's been several people that have tried to help him set up like delivery services in and around Chicago, but he got shut down again because he doesn't have any licenses to do that. So the city kind of sent him a cease and desist, but supposedly he is working on opening his own restaurant. So hopefully he gets that up and running sometime soon, because the tamales, not just for being, good drunk food. They're quite nice. They're pretty good tamales.
Very good. Oh, they saved my life multiple times at the Whirl Away. Oh,
Definitely.
God. Oh, man.
Those things, for some reason, Boston has just never let go. I mean, it's we do these.
Yeah, the city won't allow it. They're too.
I'm surprised Chicago does. I mean, there's not necessarily like no shortage of red tape in this town either. So I can't believe that he gets away with it as long as he does. But it's definitely a worthwhile endeavor on his part.
Jim, have you finished your Orval, Jim? What do you want to?
Yeah, I finished my Orval. I'm just rinsing the foam out so I can go on to my final one.
Where are you dumping the rinse from that foam? You'd never leave that station. Are you throwing it out a window onto something, or like onto?
I had a cup of water. I poured it back in the cup.
And then what are you drinking? You poured the water back into the cup after you rinsed it?
Yeah.
It's a reason.
I'm not drinking the water.
I don't know, Jim. I mean, maybe you wanted to get a little hydrated, between beers.
I was, and then I just stopped drinking the water.
Richard, are you still milking your one laser cat?
Hey, the show's called. I mean, I know this is one Jim, two Richards, but the show's called Two Richards, One Beer. I'm contractually obligated to drink one beer.
It's true. I'm only drinking one beer.
I drink 3 beers every episode, and Healy usually drink 3 beers every episode, but Tino, since you've gotten in shape and everything, and you weigh less than me now, even though you're an inch taller than me, you can only drink 1. So,
Whatever, bro. That's more.
Matt,
That's more synthesizers I can buy now.
Matthew, you're not doing CrossFit anymore. I'm assuming, or you can't.
Well, I mean, gyms are closed, so no. I actually went for a run for the first time today, this afternoon, in I don't know how long, but I was just like, I think I just got to the point where I was a little too stir crazy, and it was nice enough day. I was like, I'm just gonna try a run, and we'll see how that goes. It's not great. I don't like running.
You know what sucks? Running with a mask. It's the fucking worst.
Oh, I didn't wear one, so.
Oh, you're spreading disease.
It's actually it's not as bad as running while being chased. The usually the highest that I've experienced. That's running with a mask. Running while wearing a mask and being chased, though, is definitely the worst. And that's had to have happened now.
With a bag full of money, it's hard. It's just hard. It's hard work.
You're both white. It's not going to happen to either one.
Everyone's wearing a mask right now, Jim.
Oh, anyway, now I'm on my Pahaila Porcini Baltic.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry.
What now?
Come again? What kind of pasta?
Pahiala, that Estonian brewery.
Mahala.
Yes, that one. Yeah.
Mahala, my brother. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. They make a Baltic porter with porcini mushrooms and Himalayan.
Where'd you get that?
From Jared at Andover Classic. I saw him today.
You said it's a porter with mushrooms and Himalayan sea salt?
Yep. That is delicious.
I don't believe you.
Sounds fucking good. Yeah,
the porcini is very light. You guys obviously don't know Estonian breweries like I do. And and I forgot. Matthew is also a Cicerone, is a Chicharone level 2. So
very nice.
Where's your pen? I thought you'd have it on.
I actually keep it in my car, and I use it to punch holes in the lids of my coffee when I get it, so you get better flow of the coffee.
That's legit. That's the best excuse you're ever going to get out of that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tino, Healy, you have any other questions for Matthew?
I'm all right. I think we've kept him long enough. He's probably bored.
Yeah. Matthew, do you have anything you'd like to say? The floor is yours for a couple minutes.
No, thanks for having me. It's a good little fun to chat.
How many Zoom meetings are you in during a week?
None. Since I'm on furlough and not doing anything, we Skype with or Zoom and Skype with the family every once in a while so they can see the little one, but not many. I'm in so few that I actually one of the reasons I was slightly late to kind of joining the call was that I didn't realize I didn't have Zoom installed on my computer, so I had to grab my wife's computer and open hers up. So thanks to her.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I mean, technology's creeping in even more now. But hey, Matthew, thank you for taking the time to do this with us. It was cool to have met you, and hopefully we can all make our way out to the Chicago area and have a beer with you in person when this is all over.
That would be lovely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, man.
He can also come out here and have a beer with us if he's can never get out to Massachusetts again.
I'll probably do that in November-ish. I might be back around.
That would involve us having to stay here, and we want to get the fuck out right now.
We can go there too.
Do both.
Whoa. We can do both. All right. Thank you, Matthew. My best
Cheers,
to my
guys.
Declan. Cheers to you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks much.
Jim.
Dude, that was pleasant. He's a pleasant dude.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely guy. Jim. Puzzles.
Puzzles. It's
puzzles, Jim.
I'm puzzled, Jim.
Puzzles. You have control of the episode, and there was like a solid 5 minutes on puzzles.
You can edit that out.
The first thought that went through my mind is, this is why we don't let Jim run the episodes.
Why would I edit that out?
I don't want to talk about, and people don't want to listen to conversations about puzzles for more than 2 minutes is the puzzle threshold.
You're being generous.
Why did you let me run this episode then? You were looking for just because I know the guest doesn't mean I have to run the episode.
Because
I just don't want any responsibility.
I thought it was a great idea. I'm hungover. Richard's slowly climbing back into it. I thought, giving you this episode to really run with or move at a moderate pace while discussing puzzles was a good idea. And if I could take this episode, put it on VHS, and jump back in time and play it for my dead grandmother, the puzzles would intrigue her. So well done.
We gave you wings, Jim, and we wanted to see you fly. I mean, that's really what happened.
This is what happens when you put someone who isn't in the show, or whose name isn't in the show, on as like a title character. That's a bad idea on your part. I blame you, Healy, and I blame you, Quarantino.
I'll take the blame. Quarantino, we do have a little bit of time left. Do you have any conspiracy theories from the Quarantino Corner? I mean, it's been a segment that I think one or two people out there are just remembering now that I've said it, and maybe they're clear.
You mean conspiracy corner with Quarantino?
Yes.
Not necessarily. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about leading the resistance once this is all done. Going after Uncle Jeff, but like, you know, I mean, no, I think more so it's coming from a place of personal reflection. I bought Crocs for the first time in my life. I left the house with Crocs and sweatpants on. So here's how it all breaks down. I bought Crocs at the urging of someone that cares very deeply about me. Partially due to the fact that I got tired of standing at my synthesizer station. My back was starting to hurt. My knees are getting tight because I'm old. So I'm like, I need something with more padding. And like, the Crocs are like $25. All right, whatever. I'll like wear them in the house. I'll put them in a box when I'm not wearing them so no one sees them. One thing this whole show has taught me that nothing fucking really matters anymore. I'm gonna go outside with a headband on and sweatpants and Crocs and a fucking ankle brace, and stare at people. I'm gonna throw shit at birds. I'm just gonna do what I want now. That's kind of where we're at. So yeah, Crocs, sweatpants. I've lost all self-respect.
Now wait a minute.
I'm fine with it though. I'm not saying this like it's a bad thing. It just doesn't fucking matter.
Are Crocs true to size?
What's that mean?
So, like, if you're a size 13 foot, right? Do you buy size 13 Crocs?
Yeah.
Do you wear socks with Crocs?
No.
Oh, you don't wear socks with Crocs. So
That's
your
the point.
your socks with Crocs.
Yeah, they got a little hole so they breathe and they're nice and refreshing for the feet.
Doctors wear them. Just yeah.
Doctors aren't wearing socks with their Crocs, Jim? Whoa. That's a little nasty, man. Fuck. I mean, I would think in a hospital you'd have to wear socks with your Crocs. But whatever. All right. So are your feet getting like clammy in them Crocs? It's weird.
I mean, no more so clammy than socks and shoes, you know. It seems clammy. It seems slicker because it's my naked flesh upon rubber. So there's a bit more, you know, a bit more sliding than would be expected with a pair of socks on. But yeah, I just don't care anymore. It just doesn't matter. I walk around the wealthiest neighborhood in Massachusetts at 2 p.m. on a fucking Monday by myself with Crocs and an ankle brace because I hurt my ankle the other day and sweatpants, and I just don't care.
You got to get to the point where you're yelling at animals and not the owners of the animals, you know, or just like pigeons, you know, just start screaming at them, just weird things while you're just like that. See how many people.
Have I yelled at any animals? No, maybe. I mean, I bark at the dogs down the street from inside. I'm not a fucking wild. I'm not a crazy person. I stand inside and bark at the dogs outside.
How does that make you sane?
Because I'm not doing it outside. That's the fine line between madness and having a good time.
All right, perfect. Jim, hold on. Jim, I want to see your shirt, Jim, by the way. What do we got on the shirt?
I can't believe you're making fun of me for the puzzle thing, and we talked about this for 5 fucking minutes.
We did.
Think about Tino's
I want
sweaty
to see
feet.
the shirt. Hold on. What's the shirt say?
The band, Titus Andronicus, and it says, "The enemy is everywhere," from a line from their second album.
Whoa.
Dark. Jim.
It's not dark.
I mean, hey, imagine that shirt as a puzzle. All black.
Imagine this shirt as a croc.
I can't.
As a sweaty croc.
A slick
croc with my fucking greasy ass feet sliding all over.
Yeah.
from naked flesh on rubber.
I'm glad your feet are breathing well, Tino. So
Yeah. I mean, you know, I haven't been going out as much. I'm just a little dry. You know, I've been.
You're
putting a lot of-
Howard fucking Hughes, man.
Huh?
You're Howard fucking Hughes.
I shaved the beard.
You did shave the beard. I noticed the shaving of the beard, Jim. It looks good too.
I mean, that was partially due to the fact that A, I wanted to retain some level of fucking humanity, and B, we're starting to do some restaurant stuff. I figure I should probably look somewhat respectable.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Yeah, looking somewhat presentable to folks who are coming in.
We should probably wrap this up. It's an hour in.
Jim, I was just going to say, would you like to wrap up your episode? Is there anything you wanted to say to the viewing public, Jim, on the first, last, only episode of One Jim and Two Richards?
Richards.
The puzzle episode.
Yeah, the puzzle. I'm sorry for the hesitations. That's just the way I talk. Hope you enjoyed it. I love you all.
Way to go out strong with an apology, Jim.